there's a reason you found this message today. You didn't stumble into this moment. You were guided here because your soul has been waiting for a confirmation that only the universe could give. And now, on January 7th, 2026, it's finally here. But don't expect fireworks. Don't expect lightning bolts or grand signs in the sky. Capricorn doesn't need noise. You don't need drama. You need truth. You need alignment. You need something that doesn't shake you but steadies you. And that is exactly what's coming. For years you've carried strength like armor. You've been the one who stayed when others left. The one who held it together when life fell apart. The one who loved with depth while being misunderstood in silence. And perhaps you started to believe that your strength meant you had to walk alone. But Capricorn, the universe never asked you to do this alone forever. It only asked you to become the person who could recognize what's truly meant for you when it arrives. And now, quietly, without pressure, without noise, something has shifted. There is someone not random, not just another person, but someone who was always aligned with your soul's blueprint. And the frequency of January 7th, 2026 is the portal that finally opens the space for their arrival. This is not a prediction. This is a preparation. And it's not about chasing love. It's about becoming so whole within yourself that love no longer feels like a need but a sacred choice. So, if you feel it, if something inside you has already begun to soften, if your mind has become quieter and your heart more steady, then keep listening. Because what I'm about to tell you is not fantasy. It's the moment the universe stops asking you to carry the weight alone and begins inviting you to share it with the one who was always meant for you. Stay until the very end, because Capricorn, this isn't just another chapter. It's the beginning of the story you were always meant to live. But before we talk about who this person is, we need to understand who you've become and why the universe waited until now. Part 1. The Silent Becoming. Before the universe could send this person to you, it had to make sure you were ready to receive them. And readiness. Capricorn was never about looking available. It was about becoming whole, silently, patiently, deeply, in a way only a Capricorn knows how to do. You didn't post your healing journey online. You didn't scream for closure. You didn't rush to replace what hurt. No, you worked, you built, you protected your dignity even when it felt like no one was protecting your heart. There were nights when the silence felt unbearable. Mornings when the weight of being the strong one again almost broke you. But you didn't break. You became. Bit by bit, breath by breath, you transformed pain into wisdom, confusion into clarity, and loneliness into grounded independence. And what the world saw as quiet was actually becoming. They didn't see how many times you chose your values over your cravings. How often you walked away, not because you didn't care, but because you cared enough not to betray yourself again. You taught yourself how to stay not with others, but with yourself. You stopped chasing sparks that led nowhere. You stopped romanticizing the ones who didn't know how to stay. And perhaps most powerfully, you stopped believing that love meant sacrificing your peace. That version of you, the one who chose healing over hiding, depth over distraction, boundaries over begging, that version is the one who was meant to receive the kind of love that doesn't require fixing, proving, or shrinking. Capricorn, you didn't become bitter. You became clear. And clarity is a spiritual superpower, because once you see your worth without distortion, you no longer entertain anything that clouds it. So when the universe sends the one destined for you, they won't find a half-built heart. They'll meet someone who is already home. Life lesson. True readiness doesn't happen when life feels easy. It happens in the silence when you choose to grow. Not to be seen, but to be true. Love that lasts does not come to save you. It arrives when you've already saved yourself. Have you been growing in silence too? Share your quiet transformation in the comments. Your story may resonate with someone else walking that same road. And now that you understand how much you've become, it's time to understand why this precise moment matters. Because January 7th, 2026 isn't just a random day on the calendar, it's a vibrational shift written into your timeline. In the next part, we'll uncover how this specific day aligns with Capricorn energy like no other, and why your soul feels the change even before you can explain it. Let's explore the frequency behind the timing. Part 2. The frequency of January 7th. There are moments in time that don't just pass, they vibrate. Not because something dramatic happens on the outside, but because something becomes unmistakably clear on the inside. January 7, 2026 is one of those moments for Capricorn. It's not about an event, it's about alignment, a quiet activation within your emotional body and spiritual timeline. Capricorns don't wait for signs in the sky. You're not driven by superstition, but you are attuned to structure, to divine order, to cycles that unfold with reason, not randomness. And this date holds structure. Astrologically, January 7th carries the energy of grounded awakening. It sits within Capricorn season itself, a time when the sun illuminates your sign and brings attention to everything you've silently built. But this isn't just any Capricorn season. By this point in early 2026, Pluto, the planet of transformation, is preparing its final steps in your sign after years of upheaval. And what remains now is truth. This truth isn't loud. It's not wrapped in emotion or chaos. It's the kind of truth that settles in your chest like the first deep breath after holding tension for too long. You may not be able to point to anything specific, but you'll notice what's missing: urgency, confusion, restlessness. Instead, what fills that space is calm. A quiet recognition that something is shifting, not outside of you, but within you. You'll feel less pulled to control outcomes, less interested in rushing what's not ready, more attuned to what feels aligned instead of what looks exciting. This is how you'll know the frequency is active, not through chaos, but through a strange and sacred stillness. It is this stillness that tells you you're no longer waiting. You're now ready to be met. Life lesson: not all turning points announce themselves. Some arrive as stillness. And in that stillness, you'll realize that peace is not the absence of movement, it's the presence of alignment. Have you felt this calm rising within you lately? Tell us what part of your life is suddenly starting to make quiet sense, now that we've tuned into the frequency. Let's talk about something even more personal: how you will know with certainty that the shift has taken hold. Because in Part 3, we'll explore the subtle signs within you that reveal the time has arrived, and that the energy of almost is finally becoming now. Part 3, how you'll know it's time. Not everything that's real announces itself. And for Capricorn, truth rarely arrives in noise. It shows up in subtle shifts, the kind most people miss, but you feel them. One day, something you used to obsess over no longer pulls at you. A situation that once kept you up at night now fades into the background. You wake up and realize you're not trying anymore. You're just being. That's how it begins. You won't get a neon sign. You won't wake up to fireworks or sudden clarity. Instead, you'll notice the absence of urgency, and that absence will feel like presence. You'll no longer rehearse conversations in your head. You won't over-explain yourself to be understood. And when people misunderstand you, you won't rush to correct them, because for the first time in a long time, being understood isn't your goal. Being aligned is. And when it comes to relationships, you'll stop feeling the need to fix people, to prove your loyalty, to justify your standards. You'll stop bending to be accepted and start standing because you accept yourself. Your mind will become quieter. You'll stop anticipating rejection or rehearsing heartbreak. You won't look for red flags before anything begins because your body will already know who feels safe and who doesn't. This inner silence is not a void. It's a signal. It means you've reached the place where you're no longer surviving. The past, you're ready to receive the present. The shift is subtle but profound. You no longer need proof that you're ready. You just are. Life lesson. Readiness doesn't look like perfection. It looks like peace. It feels like stillness where anxiety used to live. And when you stop chasing timing, you discover it was waiting for you all along. Have you felt your thoughts slowing down recently? What old fears are quietly falling away? But once you begin to sense this inner readiness, the question that naturally arises is, who is coming into your life next? And how will they be different from everything you've known before? In part 4, we'll explore exactly that. Who this person is, who they are not, and why the universe waited until now to bring them into your life. Part 4, who this person is and is not. Capricorn, let's be clear. The universe did not guide you through years of emotional refinement just to bring you another version of your past. This person arriving in your life now, they are not here to repeat cycles. They are here to complete something. They are not the one who ghosts when things get real. They are not addicted to chaos, nor do they confuse passion with unpredictability. They won't disappear when vulnerability shows up. They won't make you decode silence or guess their intentions. Because this time confusion is not part of the package. This person is emotionally present. They show up not with intensity, but with intention. They don't chase feelings. They choose consistency. They won't compete with your strength. They admire it. Your ambition doesn't threaten them, it draws them in. They see the life you've built not as something to challenge, but something they want to stand beside. They don't need chaos to feel alive. They don't mistake your quiet for coldness. They understand that depth doesn't shout, it listens. You won't have to shrink to fit their world. You won't need to explain your boundaries to be respected. They get it because they've done their own work too. This connection won't feel like falling. Falling implies losing control. This will feel like landing, like arriving somewhere you didn't know you were headed, but suddenly everything makes sense. They won't rush you. They'll move at your pace. Because they're not trying to pull you forward or hold you back, they're walking with you. And that Capricorn is what makes this different. Life lesson. Love that's meant for you doesn't arrive to test your strength. It arrives to honor it. You've already proven you can carry everything. Now it's time for someone to carry with you. What qualities do you now recognize as essential in a relationship? Share your truth. Your clarity might be someone else's awakening. Now that you've seen who this person truly is, you might wonder, what will this love feel like when it finally enters your life? In part 5, we'll step inside that energy. Not fantasy, not projection, but the lived experience of a love that feels like peace in motion. Part 5. What this love feels like. This love will not overwhelm you. It will meet you. It won't come crashing into your life like a storm. It will enter like sunlight through a window you forgot was open. There won't be fireworks that fade. There will be warmth that stays. For a long time, Capricorn, you've associated love with effort, with proving, performing, earning. You've carried the emotional weight for two people more than once. You've tried to make unsteady hearts feel safe, but this love is different. With them, your nervous system relaxes. Your body no longer braces for disappointment. Your mind stops racing to interpret every word, every pause, every shift in tone. You stop wondering if you're too much, too cold, too focused, too guarded. Because with them, there's no too much. There's only you as you are, and that is enough. There will be no guessing games, no proving your worth, no shrinking your needs for the sake of keeping the peace. Instead, you'll feel the rare sensation of being heard without interruption, of being seen without distortion, of being chosen without conditions. This love won't feel like intensity. It will feel like presence, like someone actually being there, not just when it's convenient, but when it matters. You'll share your thoughts without rehearsing. You'll rest in silence without needing to fill it. You'll laugh without holding back, cry without apology, and sit in stillness without discomfort. This love will not ask you to abandon yourself. It will expand you. You will still be you, grounded, capable, self-led, but now you'll have someone walking beside you who doesn't interrupt your path, but strengthens your steps. Life lesson. Real love doesn't invade. It arrives and aligns. It's not a rescue. It's not a performance. It's two whole people choosing to walk forward side by side without fear. What does peaceful love look like to you? Describe it in your words. Your definition could be the one someone else has been waiting to hear. Now that you've felt the energy of this love, let's look back for a moment. Because none of this could arrive without the trials that shaped you. In Part 6, we'll uncover why the universe tested you again and again, and how those tests weren't punishments, but preparation. Part 6, the Capricorn test. Capricorn, you've never had the easy path, and that was never a mistake. The universe doesn't test you to punish you. It tests you to reveal you to you. Every person who walked away, every almost that turned into nothing, every time you showed up fully and were met with silence, it wasn't meaningless. Each experience asked you one question again and again. Will you settle for familiar pain, or will you stand for what you truly need? And every time you chose to walk away, even when it hurt, even when you doubted yourself, even when loneliness whispered lies in your ear, you raised your standard without even knowing it. You stopped romanticizing potential. You started honoring presence. You stopped tolerating confusion. You started demanding clarity. And in doing so, you taught the universe who to send next. The ones who came before were not your person. They were your mirrors. They showed you where you still overgave, where you still clung to the idea of love instead of the reality of it, where you still believed you had to earn what should be offered freely. Some admired your strength, but resented your stability. Some wanted your loyalty, but rejected your boundaries. Some saw your silence and mistook it for availability, never realizing that emotional depth requires emotional responsibility. So the universe kept removing them, one by one, not because you were unlovable, but because you were becoming unbreakable. Life lesson. The universe doesn't withhold to hurt you. It delays what's not aligned so that what is aligned doesn't have to compete for your attention. Your pain wasn't a prison. It was your purification. What lesson did your hardest goodbye teach you? Your clarity might help someone else find theirs. And now that you've walked through fire and come out clearer, something remarkable happens. The urgency that once kept you chasing begins to dissolve. In Part 7, we'll explore that moment when restlessness fades and peace takes its place. Part 7. When peace replaces urgency. Capricorn, you've spent years moving with a quiet urgency, an inner push to get things right, to protect your future, to avoid wasting time. You've carried responsibilities early. You've anticipated what could go wrong before it ever did. You've tried to stay 2 steps ahead, not out of fear, but out of survival. And all that energy, that sharp, silent tension, it served a purpose. It taught you discipline. It helped you build. It kept you safe. But now something different is happening. The urgency is starting to fade. And it's not because you're giving up. It's because your soul has finally settled. You no longer feel the need to chase closure. You don't rush to prove you're enough. You don't fill silence with effort. Instead, you wait, not passively but peacefully. You've stopped expecting love to feel like pursuit. Now it feels like presence. You're no longer performing stability to be chosen. You are stability, and that frequency speaks for itself. Situations that used to trigger you now feel neutral. People who once rattled you now fade into the background. And where you used to overthink, you now observe calmly. This isn't detachment, it's embodiment. You're not disconnected. You're just not trying to force what doesn't flow. This peace doesn't mean nothing is happening. It means everything is aligning. Life lesson. Peace isn't the absence of movement. It's the presence of self-trust. When urgency dissolves, what's meant for you can finally find you without resistance. Have you noticed urgency shifting into calm lately? Share how your relationship with time and timing has changed. And as this calm settles in, you might wonder how this destined person will actually arrive. Will it be dramatic? Obvious? Unmistakable? Not quite. In Part 8, we'll explore the quiet beauty of divine timing and how the one meant for you often appears in the most ordinary moment of all. Part 8. The way this person enters. Capricorn. You've always assumed that something meaningful would arrive with intensity. That destiny would feel loud, clear, impossible to miss. But when it finally happens, you'll be surprised by its simplicity. They won't arrive to interrupt your world. They'll enter through what's already familiar. A shared routine, a professional setting, a mutual responsibility, something that feels ordinary. At first, it won't feel like destiny. There won't be dramatic chemistry or a soul-shaking revelation. There will be comfort, a strange kind of ease. You won't feel the need to impress them. You'll just show up as you are and be received. You'll leave the first interaction not thinking this is the one, but simply, that felt good. And that's the key. Because Capricorn energy recognizes safety before excitement. And this person doesn't rush the process. They move with respect. They offer space without creating distance. They invite connection without forcing closeness. They'll become a pattern, a consistent presence that doesn't ask for attention but earns your trust through repetition. No highs and lows, no roller coasters, just steady, calm momentum. And slowly, almost without noticing, you'll find yourself leaning in. Not because they demanded it, but because their energy allowed it. This is how the universe sends people to Capricorn, not in chaos, but in peace. Life lesson. The greatest connections often begin in quiet spaces. It's not how loudly someone enters that matters, but how softly they stay. Have you ever met someone whose presence felt calming from the start? Tell us what that first moment felt like for you. And now that you understand how this person enters, there's something else you need to know: how you'll recognize that it's them. Not through logic, not through checklists, but through a very specific internal shift, the kind that only Capricorn would notice. In Part 9, we'll talk about the sign that confirms it's finally them. Part 9. The sign, it's them. Capricorn. Your mind is always working, always scanning, always preparing, always protecting. So when the right person enters your life, the first sign isn't something they say, it's something you stop doing. You stop overthinking. Your thoughts don't spiral. You don't rehearse conversations before they happen. You don't analyze their every text tone or pause. There's no need to read between the lines because for once the lines are clear. You also stop preparing for disappointment. You're not waiting for the other shoe to drop. You're not bracing yourself emotionally even when things are going well. And that's when you realize your nervous system is quiet. Your shoulders aren't tense, your breath is slower. You're not scanning for exits, you're just present. With them, you feel safe without knowing why. You don't feel the need to perform or protect. You speak without censoring. You exist without calculating. This sign won't feel like a revelation. It will feel like something has stopped buzzing in the background. Like silence, finally. And that's what tells you it's them. Because for someone who's lived in defense mode for years, peace doesn't feel passive. It feels profound. You'll know it's them when being yourself doesn't feel risky anymore. Life lesson. Sometimes the truest sign is not what someone brings into your life, but what they remove. And when fear leaves the room, truth has space to stay. Have you ever felt peace with someone without knowing why? Share what your body told you before your mind caught up. Now that you know how to recognize them, what does the universe ask of you? Because alignment is not just about noticing, it's about responding. In part 10, we'll explore your sacred role in this chapter and why the way you show up now matters more than Eva. Part 10, what the universe asks of you now, Capricorn. The universe doesn't need you to be perfect. It doesn't need you to know exactly what to do. But it does ask one thing from you now, presence. Not performance, not preparation, presence. Because this love, this connection won't require you to abandon who you are, but it will ask you to soften, just enough to let someone in. The armor you've worn has protected you. It was necessary. It carried you through fire. But now that armor can become a wall if you keep it on too long. The universe is not asking you to open up to everyone. Only to the one who has earned it through consistency, respect, and stillness. This next chapter isn't about effort. It's about allowing space, allowing trust, allowing timing to unfold without control. You don't need to search anymore. You don't need to chase, convince, or prove. You've already done the work. Now you simply have to receive. Receiving isn't passive. It's a sacred act of trust. It means showing up without tension. It means listening without anticipating. It means letting love in even if it arrives quietly. And it will. Because when the universe sees that you're not holding so tightly anymore, it delivers what you no longer need to grip, but what you are finally ready to hold. Life lesson. Control is rooted in fear, but presence is rooted in faith. What's meant for you doesn't need to be chased, only welcomed. What does letting go of control look like for you lately? Your presence here means more than you think. Share what you're learning to allow. So now, Capricorn, we've arrived. You've done the inner work. You've passed the tests. You've cleared the space. And now, the universe is ready. In the final part, we'll close this journey the way it was meant to end, with a truth that only those who've waited well will understand. Let's complete this together. Viết với dòng văn đầy chiều sâu, triết lý và cảm xúc. Đúng với tinh thần, kênh Zodiac Secrets Revealed. Conclusion. The universe sends who you're ready for, Capricorn. There is a reason the waiting was long. And it's not because you were unworthy. It's because the love your soul asked for required a version of you that only time could shape. The universe doesn't operate on convenience. It operates on readiness. And readiness isn't measured by how much you want something, but by how much you've become the person who can hold it. That's why nothing came easy. Why every shortcut led nowhere. Why every almost fell apart. You weren't being punished. You were being prepared. Because the kind of love your heart was made for, steady, deep, clear, committed, only appears when your soul is no longer seeking validation, but embodying truth. And now, you are no longer asking to be chosen. You are choosing yourself. And from that place, the right person will arrive not to save you, but to stand beside you. They will not complete you. They will mirror the completeness you fought to build. They will not rush in with noise. They will walk in with presence, and you will not feel overwhelmed. You will feel seen. This is the difference. This is what it was all for. And when they arrive, you will not question if it's real, because your spirit will recognize what your ego no longer needs to chase. Capricorn. The universe is precise. It does not make mistakes with timing, and it has watched you quietly refine your love, your standards, your soul, and now it moves, because you're not waiting anymore. You're ready, not to be rescued, but to be met. And when it happens, you'll understand. The waiting was never empty. It was sacred. It made room for the love that never needed to be chased, only received. Final life lesson. When you stop asking whether you're enough, the universe answers with someone who already knows you are. Because what's aligned doesn't rush, it arrives right on time. If this message speaks to something deep within you, comment, "I'm ready" below and mean it. And if you feel this shift approaching, comment, "I feel it." Don't forget to subscribe to Zodiac Secrets Revealed, because your story is just beginning, and what's coming next is greater than anything you've had to let go of.